We are just going to bring our panelists up for our second panel here today. I think, yes, here they're coming. Thank you. And I'm not sure who was able to attend the panel with Leon Ford moderating this morning. It was amazing. So big hats off to and cheers to our European colleagues having similar conversations today. So really, really good. So if I can ask everyone to please take their seats. We have another amazing panel coming up. This next panel is Empowering Communities, and it's going to be moderated by Andrea Wilson Mirza. Very exciting, so thank you and our esteemed panelists. If I could ask everyone to please take your seats. Thank you so much. Adrian. Sit down, Norway.
Can you just switch? Okay. Would you mind?
No worries.
I'm just looking at my notes.
Okay. I'm here, okay?
You are perfect.
Okay, thank you.
I also like our color scheme. Okay, we're ready to go. We just had to do some aesthetic adjustments here. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Andrea Wilson Mirza. I'm thrilled to be here today moderating this conversation around building communities and collaboration, which frankly is at the heart of everything we do, I think, in this industry, and also how we can make this industry stronger, better, more inclusive, and share our work more effectively with the world. So very honored to be here today. I'm the Director of International Programs at Women in Film, which is a 51-year-old advocacy organization based in Los Angeles. I have the privilege of partnering with many different kinds of institutions, including film commissions around the globe, to execute programs and ultimately to support filmmakers and workforce across our business. So thank you all. I think I want to hype up our amazing panel because when you hear about these individuals and the work that they do, I feel you'll be very excited. And I don't want to wait for the applause. So can we actually start with a beautiful round of applause for this group? Thank you. We don't have a super long period of time today, so I'm going to be a little rapid fire with the questions and also with the intros because the bios for this group are extensive and impressive. So what I'm going to do is just introduce each of them with just their name and what they do, and then I'm going to ask each of them to expand just a bit about what you do and in particular the organizations or the institutions that you're here to talk about today, just so we all know where we're coming from. So I'm going to start with Jeffrey down at the end, so please welcome Jeffrey Stepikoff, the president and co-founder of Content Talent South. Jeffrey.
Well, thank you.
Down there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to see you all. Super briefly, indeed, I'm Jeffrey Stepikoff, longtime film and television writer-producer from Hollywood. I became the founding executive director of the Georgia Film Academy, which is the state of Georgia's film and television production workforce program. And today I have the privilege of leading Content Talent South. Simply put, we build film industry ecosystems because the film industry belongs to all of us.
Yes, thank you, Jeffrey. Okay. Anne, you're up next. We're so honored to have Anne Sabel here, very accomplished production designer and member of the Board of Advisors for the Production Designers Collective. Please welcome Anne and tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, I'm as well the head of the FEMIS department for production design, so I'm very much into transmission. And I'm here to represent the production collective, Production Designer Collective. This collective has been founded in 2014 by Inbal Weinberg and Kalina Ivanov, two production designers. And it's basically together, we are like 1,500 production designers around the world, from big-time designer for enormous film to little production designer in small countries. And it's about 78 countries represented at the moment, and we organize events to promote our profession, which is very little known by the public and the industry.
Incredible. Did you say 78 countries?
Yes.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for being here, Anne. Thrilled to have you. And next up, we have my friend Inya Lawal, who heads up many incredible organizations and institutions on the continent of Africa. In particular, today, we're going to talk about the Africa Creative Market and the work she is doing to drive the creative economy. So please welcome Inya and tell us a little bit about you and your work.
All right. Thanks, Andrea. Hi, everyone from Africa. My name is Inya Lawal. I'm the founder of the Africa Creative Market. It's a platform that exists to bring together the different partners of the creative ecosystem. So we work with government, private sector, development sector, and academia, and basically force everyone to talk to each other, whether they want to talk to each other or not. We created that platform because we found that so many people were working in silos, and they needed to coordinate and work together. And we've been successful to initiate a lot of success through binding everyone together and putting everyone on one platform. I also am the founder of the Women in Film and TV Africa. It's a platform or a chapter that exists to help African chapters rise. So we identify leaders within different countries, encourage them to set up their chapters so we can connect better with each other. So far, we've been able to encourage 10 chapters to rise, and now we're gunning for 10 more before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Inya. I'm so thrilled you're here. Next up, we have Lola Legros, who is the, wait, let me get this right, International Promotion Manager, right, with Film Paris region. Welcome, Lola. Tell us a little bit about you and your work.
Hi. So I work for the Paris Region Film Commission. We're a member of the AFCI, which is why we're here today. And I handle all of the international relations and projects that we have, and look after subjects as sustainability, diversity as well, which is why we're on the panel today to talk about all the initiatives that makes our ecosystem better, which is also something to drive production, is something that film commissions should get involved in. So film commission perspective from the Paris region.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lola. And last up, I suppose we have Maricela Villalobos, who is the Film Commissioner for Costa Rica. So please welcome Maricela and tell us a little bit about you and your
Thank
work.
you, Andrea, and what an amazing panel. It's very exciting to be here. Thank you for being here. So I'm Costa Rica Film Commissioner, and I'm the director of the Costa Rica Media Market. The Costa Rica Film Commissioner not only does the thing that film commissions do, is to attract productions to Costa Rica, but also we have been working with communities with our film-friendly zones in order to create good conditions for audiovisual production to bring economic development and inclusion to our communities. And also with the Costa Rica Media Market, we have been becoming this hub for Central America and the Caribbean. Since we are a small country, we believe we are stronger as a region. So this is a work that began years ago, and right now I'm taking over and trying to bring opportunities for our filmmakers in Central America and the Caribbean, and create, of course, possibilities for our films. Also, the Costa Rica Film Commission does all the things to export our contents to the world. So we are very proud of our filmmakers and the amazing work that they're doing, and we have a strategy called Costa Rica on Every Screen. And with this, we are trying to create this engagement with audiences so people can remember our movies and can look for them and also ask for them in every platform, in every screen, in every possible context. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's give another round of applause. Now that you know who all these amazing people are. I feel like there's so much we could talk about today, but we are ultimately here to talk about community building and collaboration. And I think, often as, producers, sometimes we look at film commissions as like the one-stop shop when we're going somewhere to make something. But the reality is that every ecosystem in every region, every, part of the industry is complex and has different needs, different communities that need to be served, different communities that might be seeking equity or seeking opportunity within a particular space. And what I really want to, I think, get across here today is that these organizations that are organizing collectively within communities can be a resource for many, many parts of the ecosystem, including for film commissions to draw upon. Instead of, you know, needing to pop up a new program, there might be an existing program already in your region that could be resourced, that could be developed, and ultimately could be a collaborator in the work that you do. So I'd love to go back down to you, Jeffrey, and hear a little bit about how you collaborate with, you know, the various bodies that work across the state and the country in terms of the work that you're doing with Content Talent South. And I know that you had such a hand in the workforce development that essentially had to happen in Georgia, right, because of the tax incentives. So I'd love to hear a little bit from you about that.
Sure, and I'll try to be brief because there's two parts here. So let's actually say three parts. So the why again. When I say, you know, we do this work because the film industry belongs to all of us, more and more what I mean is if you want to impact the world and if you want to create economic activity, what better way to do that than with the stories that we see and tell? So this is the why, if you will, that we think about a lot. So the how. First, again, super briefly, the Georgia Film Academy, super interesting case study, Georgia. 2008, the film tax credits passed. No caps, no sunset clauses, easy to use, easy to monetize, blah, blah, blah. But it took a few years for that to catch on, for the infrastructure, the second part, to start getting built. Private sector really leaned into that. And Georgia had this explosive business, but there was a missing piece. Who's going to do all this work? And how do you create a bespoke workforce out of whole cloth? So the Georgia Film Academy was an idea that Governor Deal, Governor of Georgia at the time, created. 2008, there was about $20 million spent by productions in Georgia. Last fiscal year, or actually right before the strike, about $4.1 billion was spent by productions in Georgia. So it's a story of partnership, to answer your question. It's, you know, again, what we call the three-legged stool. The incentive program, the infrastructure, which means not just sound stages and studios, but also the vendor support services, and then workforce. And by the way, when you have a local workforce, you're building up the sustainability of the system. We can talk about the fourth piece, or the table of the three-legged stool, which is intellectual property creation and writing. That's another part. And so that brings up the Trilith Institute, where now we're working to make sure that we have a full, complete infrastructure with the above-the-line piece. And Content Talent South is working to bring these resources throughout the state and really throughout the country and the world to anybody who's interested in using it. So I'm going to stop there, but that's a general idea of the work that we're doing.
I think that's really helpful. And it is such a great case study, right? And we can see with that incredible growth in the production that's happening in Georgia. I mean, I think there's so much there. So thank you for that. And I know that, you know, as a leader in this collective and in this industry, it's very clear that you believe in the power of the collective, you know, to advance the profession and advance, you know, the visibility of production designers and your work. But I'm curious about, as you said, 78 countries. How do you organize as a group? How do you build a professional network amongst each other? And then how does that serve the, you know, sort of international workforce and relationships in the places where the production designers work?
So the collective, the amount of designer we are, we didn't know each other. We don't know each other, but the way we connect is through all the information done by INBAL and all the groups. We have a website. We have organized some, you know, panels online. But we have as well two things very important. It's a gathering of production designer every other year in Greece. So we were last year 250 production designer and 30 student production designer, all gathered on the island of Spetse. And we do panels, we do workshop, we discuss together, we raise problem, we try to see if the problem we have, for example, in France are the same in another little Lithuanian country or in America. So it's about sharing, about sharing basically, and this is incredible, this gathering. I think we are the world's biggest gathering of production designer. So it's really what is exciting as well is we are together and we know what we are doing. We know exactly what we are doing, and we're trying to make the rest of the industry to understand really what we do. Yes. And the second thing we have as well is International Week, Production Designer Week, in every country of the world, 78 countries or more maybe, from South America to Africa to America, France, Europe. In October, we have 1 week where the association we are all in, the French Association, for example, IDC, will organize for the Production Designer Collective events. You know, it could be a few designers talking in a coffee. It could be some panel in a film school about color, about drawing, about new technology. It could be as well some screening with the production designer coming and explaining what he does, how he does it on a film. So all this kind of gathering together are made for, and it's all as well open to the public. You know, you can do several level of sharing. You know, there's one with the public, one with the us together, or one with the industry, and it's the way we communicate.
It's beautiful, and I think, breaking down barriers and kind of connecting as professionals is so important, and then also being able to advocate, I imagine, with a collective voice, right? So I love to hear that. Inya, I'm going to ask you about Women in Film Africa more in a moment, because obviously I want to talk about that. But I would love to hear a little bit about ACM and your model for ACM, how you bring, because you bring not just film industry creatives, right, but other types of creatives that, as you said, are sort of driving that creative economy. So I'd love to hear a little bit about the vision kind of behind that, and also how you tactically do this, in terms of bringing those groups together.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I said on a panel yesterday that Africa isn't emerging, it's accelerating, because things are happening pretty fast. So it's for the rest of the world to catch up and leverage on the opportunities that are within Africa. And what we've found is that a lot of models are borrowed from the other parts of the world, and it's expected that it would work in Africa. But because of the rate at which things are moving, you sort of want to have a platform that gives you a bit of everything. So that's what we've tried to curate. So ACM essentially provides that platform as a one-stop shop. You're looking for, finance, there are financiers there. You're looking for mentors, there's mentoring there, there's training, there's panel sessions, there's business conversations within the industry, just really facilitating the growth of the creative economy. Also, we have different themes. So we have film as a theme, we have fashion, we have music, we have art. Now authors are saying, okay, where's our platform on here? We host the business of photography, and what we do is partner with different people who already have existing platforms, and they all bring their platforms onto ACM. So it's an individual platform, but then we all converge and have our events simultaneously. And with the way I would say with the way it works, it's all connected, right? Filmmaker needs to meet people in music need people in fashion need people in art. So you find that someone who's come to attend a film event stays for the music concert, or finds the next pool of music for their next production. Same thing with the art as well. Some people come in for something else, and then they find each other. So it's this rich platform where we've been able to have everyone together, and in terms of how we get them to speak and how to get them to have conversations, like I said earlier, we're used to people working in silos. Typically, we're still working with our government on policies that would help the creative sector. What we do is strategically position them in panels where they have to have conversations. So we have conversations ahead with each party to understand what their focus are, and then we find like a middle ground and give them a topic on it. So that way, by themselves, by the time they're done with their panel, oh, we should meet, we should have a conversation, we should work together. So, you know, we make magic work that way, and it's been really successful in
That's
that way.
that's a great strategy, I think. And you also convene around ACM these women in film chapters, right?
Absolutely.
From across the continent.
So we have a major Women in Film and TV Africa event, and then we invite the global women in film to join with us as well. It's also an opportunity to not just network, but find collaborative opportunities. Just really scaling and, you know, like people say, leapfrog in a way where everything is within the room and you grab whatever you can, and the opportunity is just there to grab.
I love that. Keeping on the sort of, you know, gender lens of our work, Lola, I want to talk to you about one specific thing that we've collaborated on. I know you did some exceptional work, and you talked a little bit about it in your intro around sustainability, working with productions around sustainability. But you've brought kind of a similar approach in engaging around inclusion as well, and now heading up those programs. So we'd love for you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think coming back on what Inya said, what I think is really interesting working like as the international manager is that it's very important to have things to adapt to your own country, have your own initiative, make sure it works for you. But also what I found is also working on sustainability before is you're not here to reinvent the wheel. So if you have an initiative that works in some place, that works in a country that can be adapted, then maybe jump onto that idea, maybe make connections with people and try to bring that back to your own place. So we did that with sustainability in Europe, trying to make sense, like when we were finding carbon calculators and labels and everything about eco-production. Like we were part, as the Paris Region Film Commission, of a European initiative that would find common ground. So not every country would have their own system. And I think it works the same with inclusion. So we have our own 50/50 collective in France for women-led initiative and gender parity. But what the work that Women in Film LA was doing is that you guys created the Reframe stamp. So you actually have this sort of, so it's a stamp almost like a label for
Gender balance.
gender balance
production.
production, and you've opened it in different countries, and we collaborated in saying, well, this is something that works, this is something that already exists, and maybe it's something that for administrative reasons wouldn't necessarily work as quickly in France. So how about collaborating and seeing if a US solution could adapt in France? And that's, spoiler alert, what we did, and brought about a French project that is going to be the first one to have the Reframe stamp. So sometimes looking outside as well for what is there can really help, even though you're different countries. Same ideas can work for everybody.
I love that. And I think it definitely is not an either or. I think it is a both and, you know, in terms of, yes, we need the specificity, right, of the communities that we serve, where we live, recognizing we don't do business over here like we do it over here, but then also where there are those opportunities to share resources, ideas, models for success, like let's do that too. And I think that's really valuable. Mary Sally, you've been in this job for a year. This is true. Less than 1 year, and I feel like you've already accomplished so much. It's really inspiring. And one of the major things that I did want to ask you a little bit about was this partnership with Stage 32. If you can share a little bit about how that came about, because I think this is exactly what we're here to talk about, right? These kinds of partnerships that might not be the, you know, obvious path for the Film Commission, but have yielded great results.
Well, thank you so much. I have to say that partnership happened before I came here.
I'm
but
giving you the credit now
Yeah,
because you're on
no.
the panel, so apologies.
No worries. But that was very helpful because I said before that for Costa Rica it's so important to develop our communities, and that doesn't mean only the communities in, you know, outside from the Central Valley or our main city is, but also the communities of filmmakers and how they can be more competitive in a global world, and then in a moment that the country is very compromise to bring especially big productions to the country. And if you want that, if you have that desire, you have to do the other part. That is that your crews are completely in the same level of big productions, and you have as a film commission or film institute to do that part to give the opportunities for people to grow. So the important thing with Stage 32, and we have a great experience. In fact, we have a movie screening in some minutes, and one of the alumni of this program was part of that. So it not only works for services, which is a big part of our economy, but also we believe in our talent. And this particular production company, this called Café Cinema, they were able to make better their production processes. They were able to pass that knowledge to others, and I think with this they have been able to make their process even better. So next to that, we have other programs because we learn so much from there. We partner with Instituto Nacional de Aprendizaje, which is the National Institute of Technical Learning in Costa Rica, and we created a program for acceleration of series because we believe we want to do that we want to have more series, digital series created by Costa Ricans, and now this is our second year with different vendors that we have had. So we take five projects of series, and we are with them 3 months developing these projects, and then we take them to markets where they can have meetings so they are well prepared. And with the Stage 32 was exactly the same. That one was focused on services, productions, how to be more efficient with your resources, how to have better practices in your production. So the next stage was, okay, let's make better projects. So you already have, all your technical knowledge, and then how we make these stories more competitive. So hopefully one day we will have, the next big show made by Costa Rica. And we did this last year, and we are going to do it for 5 years. Every year we have 5 projects, TV series. Most of them are series, like fictional series. Usually we have one animation series. So hopefully by the time of 5 years, we have 25 very strong projects. Hopefully some of them are going to be financed. And this is so important for us because we are talking about sustainability. And I think sometimes film commissions, we are so focused on bringing productions to our countries. And I believe in order to be sustainable in a world that is changing very quickly, that we don't know what is going to happen politically, we have to believe in our own ecosystem and in our own filmmakers, audiovisuals, content creators, such and such, whatever is coming, because that small industry, those intellectual properties that are of our own are the ones who are going to stand up by the country, and that we want to not be dependent on what is happening international or the services. We want to, have a healthy balance. And I think building communities and bringing the training that we did with Stage 32 and with other partners that we're doing, even with other markets, it's important because we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. But if we have strong production companies, strong stories, I think that give us a better chance to survive.
Yes, yes, all of that. I so agree. I think it's the future proofing. How are we building these things in a sustainable way? Sustainability, of course, is our relationship with the environment and the climate, but it's also our very industry and the people within it. So I love that. Thank you for that. I know that we have. I'm like looking around. Yep. Oh, great. Okay, good. We have some slides that I think we're going to go through to show some of what the amazing people on this panel have coming up. And I think the first one we have is Anne, I think I'm right. Yes, there we go. Talking about the International Production Design Week. So I know you told us a little bit about it, but if there's anything else you wanted to share about the week or the work of the collective, I want to give you a moment to do so.
So that's the date of our next Production Designer Week. Talking about collaboration, I think I wanted to say that collaborating with the Film Commission is really important for us because we are the first one production designer to look for location, and I think the collaboration could be as well on working on this sustainability aspect of this. And when we look at a location, there's as well the logistical part of it that we have to integrate in my creation part of it, because I will have a location and I will transform it. And I think we can collaborate a lot on that. And maybe for this Production Designer Week, we could do as well some co-creation of event. So in those panels or those events we are making in place now, this will be really nice if we could collaborate on that, on sustainability, and include all that in this week. Voila, and we are going to, there's some panel like pioneer production designer women to see how we have started in the industry. It was mainly men, and how we made it through, and the relation with the industry for women. And we will have some, even some gathering like you can see on this slide, some with the La Femis School, where we include all the students from our school in design, but as well other students from other schools can come and collaborate with us. And in the world, there's so many, something like 200 events have been created last year, and we connect. Everything is as well online, and you can, everything is. The world can see it. So it's really interesting to share all these things with the world and the industry and the students and everyone.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love what you said there around the collaboration idea, and production designers go first, in many ways, right? So I think that's such a great point about the earlier stages that we can be collaborating and working with film commissioners, with other partners, it happening early as opposed to later
in all
down
the
the road.
countries, because
Yeah.
it could be France, but at the moment I'm in Rome, and it's the same thing. We have this. It's like some organization to help us finding as well labor or local how do you say, crew, and it's really interesting. It's really like a point of reference for us.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Jeffrey, I want to go to you to hear a little bit about what you have coming up at Content Talent South, but also, would love to know about, kind of what, hey, it's Jeff and Jeff. I love this.
I look like a realtor.
This is, it's working. A little bit about, sort of your vision for what, great collaboration looks like with the kind of partners that you're working with.
Well, thanks. This is great collaboration. What a blast this conversation is. I mean, seriously, I remember we were going to put the slide up, and I'm to summarize what it is that we do, but we're talking about it. And I'll be brief, but really, you're talking about sustainability and impact. Yeah. We're talking about bespoke community building, and also we're talking about, to summarize, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Existing initiatives that work, and it's a pleasure to get to have this conversation here. So, super briefly, we are, frankly, experts in workforce creation. This is from our work at the Georgia Film Academy. We learned how to develop curriculum that the production community buys into, the labor unions buy into. It's a unique kind of curriculum, but what's really special about it, again, is that it supports partnership building. Right, we're not just a school where you can sit down and create production curriculum, but you've got to have a wide variety of stakeholders support it. And so to that end, we talk to our clients who will come to us and say, hey, we've got a business and we need a workforce. And we'll say, we can certainly build that for you, but think about the context of the rest of the business, or if you like, the communities. So this is why we talk about the incentive. What are we doing with an incentive in a region? We talk about the infrastructure, and it's not just, do you have studio space and do you have equipment, but who are the vendors? And finally, what kind of intellectual property are you creating? So the incentive and the workforce, the infrastructure, the partnership building, and the intellectual property, we believe creates this long-lasting, enduring, and impactful film and television entertainment industry in anybody's region who wants to grow it. How's that for a summary?
I think that's great. I love that. Is there anything that you envision for like future partnerships? Maybe, I don't know, you want to collaborate with some of these people on this stage. Anything that's sort of sparking for you in terms of other ways you could deepen collaborations?
Yes, let's build this stuff. This is coming from somebody who spent 20 plus years in Hollywood, mainly in writers' rooms and on set. We all know the systems and the barriers to entry. And if there was ever a time to set up those barriers, to change them, to put new ones in place, now is the time. So what are we excited about? Building new film businesses, building new television businesses.
Yeah, fantastic. Inya, I feel like you have a powerful vision, and that's what's brought you to this place, right? Of having being a founder and CEO, having the creative market, having this reach with WIF Africa and the collaborations with different chapters. Mm-hmm. What is your vision for collaboration, whether it's from the African creative economy to the economy here and how the interplay exists, or within the continent? What is your vision?
It's just to say really that we're open. Well, I find a way to make it work. Design, yeah, we're in. What filmmaking, yes, we're in. Whatever works for the creative sector, we're very open. And like you said earlier, Lola, talking about existing platforms that can be integrated into new markets. We're open for that as well. I think when people hear Africa, it just feels like it's sometimes I've had a lot of conversations where people say, oh yeah, I've been to Africa, oh, I've been to South Africa, and I'm like, where else? And they're like, yeah, that's it. There's a whole lot. There's lots of countries to go around, from the north to the east to the west. It's so different cultures, a lot to explore, and those explorations come with a lot of opportunities. I keep saying opportunities. About 80% of our people are youth. People born with handsets on their hands, and all that. Imagine what you could do with that. And like I said earlier, we're accelerating. So whether or not anyone comes through with funding, people are finding ways to show up and become popular. You go on YouTube, the African content on YouTube is all over the place. My family, my nieces in the UK are singing Afro music, Afro beats. They're telling me things that are happening in Nigeria, in Ghana. It's global now. So what's holding us back? It just feels like there's that fear to go into the continent where it feels like, oh, it's a bit, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot, but that's why we exist. Like, we know how to get in there. So just take a chance. Take a chance, connect with people. I've got amazing, people from the continent. Some of them are here, repping us well. Just connect with any of them and have this conversation and open up, the networks. I find a lot of platforms that are omitting Africa. From what they're doing. And yeah, just find the right people, partner with the right people, take a chance. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready.
I love that. And what you said, I think, is such a great, not emerging, but an accelerating market is such an important reframe. I love that. Lola, I want to pull up this slide, yes, about the first film from France that is going to receive the Reframe stamp for gender balanced production. You can tell us a little bit about the project, but also your vision for how a program like the Reframe stamp could be rolled out in France and with partners in the country.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to have so much energy now coming from Inia. My God. I feel like I'm going to try to keep up the momentum. But yes, this is La Maison des Femmes, so a place for her in English. It's going to come out during the year. Project by Melissa Godet. It's the first film, and I think it ties up really well what we're talking about today, which is building communities, because it's a movie about a place that is called La Maison des Femmes, so like women's home, that exists in the Paris region, that was created in 2018 to be a home basically for women that had been victims of violence, and when they come there, they get support from anything from gynecologists, lawyers, or just a listening ear, psychologists. And this is a film about the creation of that place, and it was entirely filmed in that place, in that region, with the local community. They had people from the actual Maison des Femmes that were there to help them. And it's absolutely gorgeous film, and it fit perfectly to be that very first French film to get the stamp. And our hopes with this is basically that now the stamp is in many English-speaking countries. It's now in Australia, it's in Canada, I think, as well. And why not in other languages as well? Why not bring it almost forward? And we're hoping that with the French film that has now officially been stamped, it opens, because of course all of this is money as well and collaboration, so it opens up some more collaborations around the community to bring it towards Europe and France, and then maybe, we don't know, Italy, Spain, or any other countries that would like to work with the stamp that works in Africa. I know, but I don't want to say Africa, there's so many different countries in it, so many. So please, let's do that. And yeah, and I put the contact because it was a whole idea of collaboration. We met with Women in Film last year, and it's been a year of discussions and learning about the stamp and learning about how we can build those bridges between different countries that don't necessarily have the same way to work. And yeah, it's just meeting people, making those connections, as you say, not be afraid to reach out a hand if you hear that somebody's doing something that could be of interest to you. And I think it works really, really, really well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank
the positive
you.
enough.
Yes.
The momentum is kept. Yes.
It's what we need. We need optimism right now. And on that note, Maricela, I'm going to give you the last word here in terms of your vision. I think it's so clear how you've articulated how important the work in community, developing our local industry. So we're not only service production, but we are driven by a commitment to local industry. So I would love to hear a little bit about your vision.
Sure. No, I hear Inia. I had the opportunity to work with Kenyan women years ago, and I always say that Latin America and African countries have so much in common and so much energy, and there is this phrase in The Heights, is one of my favorite musicals, that they always say, the story of this little town in New York, of Latin American towns making their American dream come true, and they always say we are powerful, we are not powerless. And when I hear you and I feel so aligned to you, and because we might be in different continents, but we do have like the same, not the same, but similar challenges, and we are very connected. And now in Costa Rica, we're working with an African festival of African cinema and the diaspora in the Film Commission, and this is what we believe in the Film Commission of Costa Rica. And films, like if you go outside here, you're gonna see a red carpet and you're gonna see very fancy stuff. But that is a very small part of films. What films do for people, and sometimes I feel like a very innocent saying this, but it changes lives. And not only for the people who watch some film and maybe they feel connected to that story, but also for the artists and the people who are making films, and the stories and what it makes for our identity and what it makes for our economies and our communities and our creative people. That I've seen our communities, and this is why we made the Costa Rican media market. because it's an opportunity for Central America and the Caribbean. And if you see the story of Central America, it's a very sad story for the last 30 years, but that is what you see in the mainstream media. But if you go there, you're gonna see this: we are powerful. Like, we are full of energy, we're full of creativity, and we have to believe in that talent. And I believe, like, if you have a tool to give power to these communities, to these stories, it's gonna change your community and your country. I was listening to one of my colleagues, and she was saying that after she saw Ratatouille, the movie, she started cooking, and she didn't believe she could cook. And it was so funny because she was like, "Oh no, Ratatouille says that everybody can cook." And I said, "You see what films do for people? Like, it changes life, it changes perspective." And if you have a storyteller saying these stories, this is a very mainstream movie, but I think about the stories that the grassroots organizations and people that are in communities, that if you give them the tools to do a great storytelling, if you teach them how to have better production practices, and you collaborate with others. In our case, is Central America region and Caribbean, which is more than 15 million people. So imagine how that, if we get together, how strong we become in the world. But if we are only Costa Rica, only South Africa, or only Ghana, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for the world. That works for the big ones, because we're gonna be separated. But if we get together and we create these strategies of how do we train people and how we bring those stories, I think we have a chance to change the narrative and to change that story in the long term.
Yes, yes. Let's applaud that if we can. I so agree, and I think it's the perfect note to end this conversation on, because we're not just talking about the fact that we know that films have impact in the world, and everyone in this room is a part of that, but the way we make films, who we make them with, who has access, who is powerful and empowered, who gets training, who gets the opportunity to be in this space, that has impact too. So thank you all for the work that you do to make that possible. Thank you all for your attention today and contribution to this work. Thank you to the AFCI for bringing us all together. And bon festival.
Thank you.